So my birthday is in a couple of days, right? And I've been meditating on, if I could go back, what would I tell myself? If I could go back 15 years, 10 years, what would I tell myself? What would I do different? And it got me thinking, what advice would I give to a young man coming up in their 20s? Especially if they're a little bit confused, what advice would I give them to become better human beings that will become positive contributions to society and make a name for themselves? So it's a very particular question, because as you get older, you get to realize, okay, I could have cool toys, whatever, but do I really want that? You can also spend money on stupid stuff, vacations or liabilities, or is your goal to build a legacy, leave something? There's three things Patrick Bet Davis says that a man should do. One of them is plant a tree. The other one is write a book, and the other one is have a son, because those three will outlive you. And it's important to know the early in life you know this, the better it is for you in the long term. Because if you are 21, let's say you're 21, 20, you just getting legal age to start drinking, and you start partying, instead of focusing on building a career, a business, and start working hard like a good positive contribution to society, you decide to live for the weekend, get drunk every weekend, and do whatever it happens. Get somebody pregnant very early on, and those are mistakes that you cannot walk away from. And a lot of these mistakes will hinder the chances of you building wealth long term. A lot of these mistakes you're gonna do in your 20s and things like that, you're gonna get punished for the next decade, 2 decades, and then you can. A lot of people, listen, I have friends who early on in their life, they made a lot of mistakes, but they turn around and have become great human beings, great contribution to society, but still they had to go through those steps. But if you are smart, if you're really smart, you can avoid those mistakes. You can learn from other people's mistakes. It's like, okay, this is the mistake this person did when they were in their 20s. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do the opposite of that. I'm going to avoid that mistake. This person, let's say my neighbor, got this girl pregnant at a very young age. So maybe what I need to do is go around this to not make the same mistake. Because if I make that mistake, I'm going to be chained to that woman or that kid for the next 18 to 21 years. And that, again, will hinder the growth of your personal development, and if you want to build a legacy for yourself. In the long term, a lot of people are like, I'm so glad I got kids when I was young. That's what a lot of people say. They say, yeah, I got them out of the way, whatever. But again, it depends on what your goals are. If your goal is to multiply and be fruitful, that's amazing. Go for it and have a bunch of kids. But you have to think, how can you take care of these kids? Are you going to be hoping that the government takes care of them? Are you going to be hoping because if the government is taking care of them, that's going to be their God. The government is going to be their God, and the government is going to tell them what to do, what to wear, what to think. If you have a bunch of little boys, the government is going to tell them, you are not boys, you are girls. And if you don't have the means to take control of your own family and say, you know what, I don't agree with this, I'm going to send my kids to private school, then you're going to be subject to that. Where if you say, you know what, my goal is to build a legacy, this is what I want to do, and when I have kids, if I have kids, this is how my kids are going to go to private school, because this is how I want them to be raised. Okay, you have to have options. This goes back to having options. The earlier you know in life, it's nothing more sad than meeting a 50-year-old man or 60-year-old man that has no idea what to do, what to do in life. Imagine you're 60 years old. At that point, at some point, you have to figure it out. And there is a saying, if you want to be relevant in the United States of America, don't go to college and get a master's, a doctorate. I mean, unless you want to become a doctor or a lawyer. But if you just want to get a master's, a doctor, just say, yeah, I went to college. It's like, no. People will respect you if you have made $1 million. If you have made $1 million and people know, people will respect you, because that's what America respects. America respects hard work and consistency. You want to become better. You want to have a goal. You want to have something in writing and say, this is what I want to do, and this is how I'm gonna get there. Listen, life is not easy. The sooner you get through the struggles, the better it is, because I can tell you, it is better. It's easier, I wouldn't say better, but it's easier if you are pursuing greatness, trying to build wealth while you're single, than trying to build wealth while you have kids, because you have a wife, you have kids to support. And if you're just single, worst case scenario, what can you lose? You live under a bridge. Not a big deal. You become a young man living under a bridge. Very cool experience. Where if you have a family, that's not the case. You have to be a provider. You have to be there for them. You have to be able to support them. And that will make it very hard for you to become a success. So going back to 10 to 15 years for me, what I would tell myself is to go harder on my goals, to go harder, to take it seriously, to upgrade my mentality, to upgrade my self-belief, my standard. Because we live in an area where we all have standards. If your standard is to just pay your bills on time, that's going to be your standard. You will always pay your bills on time. If your standard is to build wealth, to become multimillionaire, you will raise your standard, because you're going to start thinking, how would an investment... See, somebody says, poor people, when it comes to making money, they think it's a scam. Rich people, when it comes to make money, they ask for what's the opportunity cost. They don't ask how much is it. They ask, how much can I get? I saw a video the other day on Instagram. It says, it was an illustration that the guy told the person, it's like, hey, you want to buy this backpack for $1,000? And the guy said, no, that's too expensive. And he said, that's exactly how poor people think. Poor people think about the price. They say, oh, that's too expensive. A rich person would have asked, what's in the backpack? What if the backpack was filled with $100,000? Then that $1,000, you turn it around and you turn it into $100,000. So that's how you have to think. I wish I would have thought sooner. That's what advice I would give to somebody. Think big. Donald J. Trump, a very good friend of mine, he says that you are going to think anyways. Might as well just think big. Because if you are thinking, I want to make six figures, listen, the six-figure income, $100,000 income has become, that's the $50,000 of 15, 20 years ago. Like, if you want to have a lifestyle of $100,000 10 years ago, you have to be aiming at $250,000 a year, because the price has become, everything is so expensive, everything is very high. But if we're talking about it in 10 to 15 years, we're going to be saying, well, the $250,000 now is $1 million. So what I would say is, what I would be telling myself is, you need to start thinking big. And I've read books, I've been to seminars where he talks about this stuff, but at the same time is like, didn't click. So it's really important for you to adopt that mentality, the dog mentality. David Goggins talked about the dog mentality. He says when the fridge is full, they open the fridge and they're like, oh, it's full, whatever, I don't need to work as hard. But when the fridge is empty, they open it, there's no food, there's no milk, no egg, and they're like, oh crap, I gotta go and hustle and make it happen. That's how you want to have. I wish I had that. Like, maybe some way I had it, and that's why it's taking me to where I am now. But I wish I would have seen a little bit more success early on. And I can only blame it on myself, because I didn't believe that I could get to where I am now. And sometimes I still struggle with the self-belief that where I'm going to be in 5 years, where I'm going to be in 10 years, it's going to be so far to where I am now. And so the whole video was about talking what advice I would give myself 10 to 15 years ago, and what other advice I would give to a young man. And it is, other than updating the self-belief and all that fun stuff that I just talked about, I would say is, another one is learn a skill. Become skillful. I got into sales when I was 21 and 21 or 22. It was hard. It was one of the hardest things I've done, but I'm so glad I did it because it pushes you out of your comfort zone. You have to meet people. You have to become so outgoing. You have to become very personable. You have to listen. You have to understand other people's perspective. I used to be a very shy guy. Growing up, when I was back in El Salvador, I used to be very shy guy, not the type of personality I have now. Now everybody loves me. Everybody loves me. Everybody like, oh my gosh, I want to be around David. Because I inspire trust and a warmth. And not everybody does that. So you want to learn those skills. One of the books that I would recommend to get started is How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's one of the best books on people psychology, how to talk to people. People love to hear their name. Their name is their favorite word in any language because it's your name. It's your name. And in the books, he talks about talk to a man about himself, and he will talk for you. He will talk to you for hours because people love to talk about themselves. Here I am talking about myself. I'm doing a video talking about myself, and you just got to learn the type of skill. The earlier you learn it in life, the better it's going to be. And another thing is bring value to the marketplace. The marketplace will compensate you based on the value you bring. If you are making $40,000 a year, it's because that type of job, anybody can do it. It doesn't require a lot of value. But when you are providing value to the marketplace, that means you are bringing enough value for people will give you money. You come, like in real estate, if you find this great deal that it makes sense, you will go find people and be like, hey, listen, I just found this deal. It's an amazing deal. What do you think? Here are the numbers. And they're like, yeah, here you go. And well, this is my fee. Okay, perfect. You get it. I get to listen to appointment. It's like, okay, this is how I'm going to sell your house. These are the steps how I'm going to sell your house. And people will give you, they will pay for my services. They will pay the service you provide. They will give you a fee of the service you provide. The value you bring to the table is what you make. Jim Rohn says, the level of success will seldom exceed the level of personal development. So the level of success, you cannot be super successful if you're not bringing enough value to the marketplace and if you're not growing in yourself, kind of like reading those books I was talking about, learning the skill, learning one skill, focus, drill down on that skill. For sales is a great skill because you can get a job of anything and you can sell. As long as if you know how to sell, you will make money. The other one would be get a business. I mean, I don't know what business I want to get in, but that's one of the things that I would recommend. If I went back in time to meet myself in a 21 or 18-year-old kid, very handsome, good-looking kid, if I had the opportunity to go back and give myself that advice, I would tell myself, get into sales, learn how to deal with people, bring value to the marketplace, and upgrade your self-belief. Believe you can. Believe you can do it because it can happen. Also, update your standards. Upgrade your standards. If your standard is to always be driving in a 1991 Honda Civic, old car that barely works, sometimes it turns on, sometimes it doesn't, and if that's your standard, that's how you're going to live. That's going to be the rest of your life. But if you raise your standard to get in those fast cars, the best car that you want to get, then your standard is going to be raised, and that's how you're going to become better. Hey, listen, this is it for this video. My name is David Pena. If you want to connect, let's connect on social media. Leave me a comment or find me on social media, and we will connect. I love growing my network. I love growing with people, and it's just super fun. So listen, it's never too late. The guy from KFC, Sanders, he started that business at 66. It's never too late. If you're not in your 20s and you're not in your 30s, don't think it's too late. There's thousands of millionaires being made in America every day. So there is hope. And if you're a multimillionaire, let me know. I would love to learn from you because I want to learn from you. Okay? Be great and take care.